Hello, my name is Marco Arnaudo, and you may remember me from some video reviews of games that I used to film a long time ago. At least it does feel like a long time to me, because gee, this semester is intense. The school is just keeping me much busier than I expected it would, and then all sorts of family obligations and unexpected things just came together, and really haven't been able to play nearly as much as I wanted to. So first thing I wanted to tell you, I'm still alive, I'm still here, I'm still wanting to play games, even though I don't always get a chance to do so. I'll try to go back to my previous schedule of gaming and filming as soon as I can. But this semester probably my activities as a gamer and video reviewers will be slower than they used to. But I'll go back to my previous glory as soon as I can, I believe. Then I thought, well, what can I do then just to assure people that I'm still here if I haven't played new games? Well, maybe I can talk about games that I played in the past. So I'm going to take this opportunity to film a video that actually comes from my Kickstarter campaign. A backer of my campaign, Carl Fenner. Hi Carl, this video is dedicated to you. Carl supported this video. Carl sponsored this video, which is going to be a top 10. He asked me to film a top 10 video about my favorite 10 co-op games, and this is exactly what I'm going to do, relying on my previous experience as a gamer and not on things that I played recently. Now, let's get started. As in the best tradition of top 10 videos, we start from the bottom. Number 10, Pandemic. Pandemic, great game. The first co-op game that I ever played. At the time, it blew my mind incredibly. Then I also played the games, the co-op games, and as time went by, Pandemic kind of seemed less interesting to me. It just felt a little too dry. It just felt a little too abstract for my taste. It still is a great game. It is my wife's favorite cooperative game. It is a great introduction to co-op games. And this is why it is part of my top 10 video, but this is also why it is in position number 10. I was going to say mixed blessing. It is in there, but number 10. It could be worse if it wasn't in there, right? Number 9. This is going to be controversial, not because it is in the list, but because it is not number 1. This is probably many people's number 1 co-op game, if not number 1 game, period. To me, it is number 9 of a list of co-op games, and this game is Arkham Horror. Yes, indeed. Great co-op game. Again, one of the very first ones that I played when I started getting into co-op games. Also, the first co-op game that I played as a solitaire game, and I enjoyed it that way. Actually, I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed it much less as a multiplayer game. Everybody who plays it and loves it because of its epic nature. But it just so happened that with my busy schedule, little girls at home, things like that, not many opportunities to play for extended period of times with a large group of people. It just so happened that I realized I was never playing it. When I played it, I felt like it was in a rush. Sometimes we didn't get to complete a game, and when you wait for weeks or months to play that epic game and then you don't get the time to do it because it lasts for too long, alas, then it is disappointing. Now I realize that I'm pointing out the negative aspects of the game, which makes you almost feel like it shouldn't be in this list. It is a phenomenal game. It is an awesome game. I just know that some of you already started typing hate emails to me to say you don't understand a thing, this should be top of the list. It is a great game. I like the narrative. I love the theme. I am a Lovecraft sucker. I am a total Lovecraft fanboy. Great art, great everything. Just the entire experience is a little too much for me to chew in a single session, and that means I don't play it as much as I like to. As a result, alas, it is not number 1. Number 8, guess what? Arkham Horror's smaller cousin, younger cousin, and tinier cousin, Elder Sign. All of the great things that you can find in Arkham Horror in less time, with less trouble, easier to teach, and I get to play it more often. It is a dice game, it is very portable, I like it very much. All the other things that are great in Arkham Horror on a smaller scale, great. I love that, and that is number 7 of my top 10. Number 7? No, that was number 8. Number 7, this is a co-op game that you may not have heard of, and this is called Sink the Carrier. Sink the Carrier is a print and play game that I discovered completely by chance when I still had time to just go around Board Game Geek and find random games. I don't have time to do anything like that anymore. Now I think I do is very targeted. Sink the Carrier, I'm glad that I discovered it back in the day. Print and play game, completely free. You can make your own copy. It is a co-op game which, unusually enough, has an historical theme. No fantasy, no sci-fi. This is about air war in World War II in the Pacific scenario. The player or players are pilots controlling airplanes, and they are looking for a Japanese carrier that they're trying to sink. There's a limited amount of time to do so, and this is a game that works in real time. That is, once the timer starts, that's it. You have to go. You have to go. You cannot stop it. You always have a player that needs rules to be explained again. Then you just punch that player and you make that player lose consciousness, and you say, okay, we're gonna control this airplane. There are also nicer and more elegant ways of handling that, but that's just an option. I'm just mentioning it, putting it out there in case you would consider that. I'm not advocating violence against gamers, come on, I'm just kidding, unless they really are annoying and they're slowing down the game. Sink the Carrier, very good game, completely underrated. A pity to me that more people don't know it, and I hope that maybe this video will help rectifying the situation to an extent. Next in the list we have another real-world game, Police Precinct. I played it last fall. I really enjoyed it. I love detective stories as a genre. I love the opportunity of experiencing that type of story from the perspective of the gamer, that is first-hand. And this is not exactly just a detective story a la Clue. And also say that Clue has a story is a little bit of an overstatement. It has the feeling of a procedural TV show or book. I'm a big fan of Ed McBain, who is one of the creators of the procedural genre. This really feels like one of his novels. The players are controlling the men and women working for the police and trying to keep this wave of crime at bay. And while they're handling daily occurrences, daily troubles and problems that they have to deal with, at the same time there's also a bigger problem, which is an assassin, a killer that is trying to escape the city. So as they are trying not to get the city overwhelmed by crime, at the same time they have to keep the main problem of stopping the killer from escaping the city, and you have to collect clues to do so. Very nice balance there between the short-term objectives and the long-term objective, which I think, by the way, is one of the things that make good co-op games good. To me, this is really essential to make a co-op game interesting. You need to be interested in the next decision that you're going to make in the next 30 seconds, but at the same time you have a longer term plan that you need to work on. Cooperation is essential, which again is very important in co-op games. I didn't have the alpha player problem with Police Precinct, so definitely enjoyed the game, and this is why it is quite high in my top 10 list. Defenders of the Realm. Defenders of the Realm is a fantasy game. This time the theme is more traditional. The big bad guys are marching towards the center of the board. There's a lot of evil going on. They drop off minions left and right, and you, the player or players, are trying to again keep the wave of horror at bay, stop the minions, and at the same time try to defeat the bad guys. Pretty traditional in a way. To me, this is Pandemic. When Pandemic met theme, I see certain things that are very similar to Pandemic, but the theme is so rich, multi-layered. It is really captured well by the mechanics. The art brings the theme to life. Once I played Defenders of the Realm, I never went back to Pandemic. Defenders of the Realm, definitely. If you like that kind of feel, the pandemic feel, but you don't mind a very richly, thematically rich game, Defenders is the game to go, at least for me. Now, next, which I believe is number 4 already. Oh yeah, they're really going fast towards the top of the top 10. Number 4, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I'm gonna squeeze 3 games in one, and I'm gonna mention here the Dungeons and Dragons games. The Wrath of Ashardalon, Castle Ravenloft, and The Legend of Drizzt. These games, many people laugh at, they consider them too light. To me, the lightness of the games combined with the strength of the theme is an advantage. I see them as storytelling engines. Yes, you do not need to overthink things. Sometimes the decisions are obvious, but the story progresses. There's a strong story, bad stuff happens all the time, monsters coming out right and left. And again, the fact that the mechanics are so thin allow you to concentrate on the story. I find that when I play the D&D games with other players, we role-play the story more than we do with other co-op games. We have more mental room, if you want, left available to think about the characters and the lines that the characters would say. Then we describe the situation as seen from the point of view of the characters. To me, there is just a great balance there between the strictly mechanical aspects and the role-playing aspect, which is something you do not find in other co-op games, at least I did not find. And this is why, even though these games are not very highly rated by hardcore gamers, they are very highly rated by me, and I definitely enjoyed them all. Drizzt, of the 3 of them, is my favorite one. I enjoyed them all. Ashardalon probably is the next one, but they're great games. I also think they look great. People have said the most horrible things about the cards. People freak out when they see black and white cards, or horror of all the horrors, cards without illustrations. Oh my gosh. What can I say? Cards without illustrations, to me, sometimes are great because they help me imagine things. They just allow my imagination to wander. The board looks thematic enough, the miniatures look thematic enough that if I see a card that describes a trap and doesn't show me a trap, I'm good enough. I can see the trap, nevertheless, in my mind. I see it on the board, and I'm happy with that. D&D games, great games. I personally love them. Now we get into games that I love even more. Sentinels of the Multiverse, a game. I think I see a trend here. I really love the narrative of the games, and Sentinel is one of the least polished games that there are out there from the point of view of the mechanics. It can be incredibly messy. You can find combination of cards and abilities that will break the game, or you may have a situation with the villain that makes the game impossible. It is a game about superheroes, and I love the theme very much. The players control superheroes, they are going against the villain. And even though mechanically it can be messy, can be extremely unpolished, it just is a great engine to tell a story. Again, I guess this really is, to me, a key component. The game shines, the theme shines through the game mechanics, the story is strong. People do feel like they're controlling their superheroes. People do need to work together as a real super team. Great. It captures the feel of the superhero genre beautifully, and even including the fact that sometimes the storylines in superhero comics are indeed messy. The game can be messy, but if you like theme, if you like stories, then the game is great. Somebody sent me a text. Ooh, Number 2, this is a game that I played relatively recently, a couple of months ago. Zombicide. Traditional theme, if you so wish. The zombie apocalypse, the players control survivors that are trying to take down huge hordes of zombies as they try to accomplish goals that will be defined by the scenarios. There are many scenarios, and it's fun. It's fun. It really is a big Hollywood production type of experience. It is spectacular. As you play the game, you can imagine big budgets, you can imagine special effects, computer-generated stuff, just because there's a certain spectacularity of the experience. You have weapons that cause huge amount of damage. At the same time, you do have immense hordes of zombies coming from everywhere. You have a ton of miniatures on the board, to the point that sometimes it becomes a little inconvenient or almost unwieldy to have to move every single zombie, every other 60 zombies that are on the board. But the sense of progression, the sense of adventure, the sense of claustrophobia that you get from seeing your miniatures physically surrounded by thousands of miniatures of zombies, all that is a great aspect of the game. Definitely makes the game feel real and tense. I love Zombicide. It looks beautiful. Again, and I definitely see the trend here. It is a messy game in a way. It is not particularly elegant, but it tells your story. It actually, I would say, it shows your story. It has a very strong cinematic feel, which I adore. Now we get to number 1. Again, somebody's sending me a ton of messages. Oh, there you go. Lance Mixter. I really like Arkham Horror. Stop saying it's not the greatest game. Lance, come on, just wait until I'm done, okay? Before you start complaining. Number 1, which is my favorite co-op game. Probably already passed your favorite co-op games, so maybe this will be a little bit of a surprise. My favorite co-op game is Ghost Stories. Ghost Stories, if nothing else, possibly because it is one of the toughest, most diabolically difficult co-op games I ever played. I love that challenge. But at the same time, there are many other games that are very difficult. You don't win very often. This one somehow shines because of the simplicity of the mechanics, yes. But I feel that here the simplicity of mechanics does raise to a level of depth that you do not have, for example, in the D&D games. You have more options, the management of the resources is more multi-layered, is more complex. You only have 9 spaces on the board, and that helps to create the sense of claustrophobia. Somehow at the same time, even though it has a potential for looking extremely abstract just because you have that grid, everything is square, and you have cards with monsters, and then just dice that get stolen, even though the mechanics are almost palpable, yet the theme is at the center of the story. The theme manages to blend with the mechanics and really to tell the story of this desperate siege in which the players are playing the role of the Shaolin mystic monks trying to stop the wave of crazy monsters and demons that are trying to take the village over. Ghost Stories is one of the first co-op games that I ever played. It is possibly, most likely, the co-op game that I played the most in my life. It is one of the few games that when there is a game night, I almost always bring with me. Even if I'm not planning to play it, if there are new players around in the group that have never played a co-op game, then I recommend that they try that one. It's one of those games that if you can teach it to new players, they will learn it easily. Even if you set up another game in a game night and you have something else to do and you leave them with the manual, they'll be able to figure out quite easily. Then you just go and tell them 1 or 2 things. But it can be self-taught. I've seen that happening game nights very often, and then I see people getting obsessed over the game because they want to play over and over and over again. I just love it. I'm talking here about the basic game and other expansions, but point is, and you know I'm a little bit of a completist, I need to have everything about the games that I like, every expansion, every promo card. I have that sort of compulsion that many gamers have. Ghost Stories, I never felt the desire of purchasing a single expansion. I've had so much fun with the basic game, and I go back to the game occasionally when I have the time, and I enjoy it so much. I just never felt the need of adding anything, changing anything. To me, that is a perfect game. Simple, linear, thematic, incredibly difficult, challenging, thus encourage actual true cooperation among players. I just love it. Ghost Stories, on top of my top 10 list of cooperative games. Well, this is all for today. I need to write back to Lance. Other than that, this is all for my video. I hope you enjoyed this top 10 video. There will be more videos from me in the future as soon as my life goes back on track and it's a little less crazy. Until then, I hope that everything is well with you. Enjoy your gaming and try to game for me too. Try to do all the gaming that I can. Ciao.